What is up, everybody? Good morning and welcome back to Marvel Rivals. Today we are going to do yet another spectating video, making our way through the roster of characters in this game. And today we are going to check out this guy playing Captain America, AOI. He goes kind of crazy on this character, and let's just get into the replay and see what this character does best. You can see this is a pretty high ranked lobby too, so he is playing at a good level, and all these little borders here mean that these people were Grandmaster or above last season as well. So he is playing with some pretty good players. Maybe not against a bunch of Grandmasters last season, but these people are pretty good this season. So let's switch the POV. And coming out of spawn, he goes over here, uses the left-hand side cover, and immediately starts looking for backliners, taking high ground, and going pretty much directly for the Loki and for the Cloak and Dagger. Unfortunately, gets pulled off by the Wolverine, pause, and has to reposition, but turns the team around as well. So just kind of being a nuisance in the back line over here, backing out because he needs a little bit of healing, gets topped up, and then goes back in. Unfortunately, two members of his team are taken out, so they have to back up a little bit, and he opts to step back, help his team, get some healing, and kind of reset from this point. Still building alt charge, still waiting for their big push. Goes around the side here, and again, looks to go on the Cloak and Dagger. Gets her to pop her fade pretty much instantly, and then sticks on her to make that pressure. Also, he's turning the Wolverine around, the Storm around, all that sort of thing, so his team is able to round this corner with the cart because he's pulling basically three of them off of everything else. So, sees the Luna over here, again, goes directly for her. Unfortunately, the enemy Cloak and Dagger ults, so he's not going to be able to do a whole lot about that. His Luna ults, his Invisible Woman actually ults too, which is a little bit of a bad overlap, but they're still able to get some ground on the cart, take out the enemy Luna, and try and finish off this Wolverine here. Unfortunately, the Storm on the enemy team ults and pushes his team back quite a bit, but he's still very, very healthy and is able to just kind of still run interference in this back line here. Not able to take out the Loki there, but his team is able to do it for him. So they get a pretty good stagger on the enemy team, finally taking out this Doctor Strange and pushing the Luna and the Cloak and Dagger into this hallway where he just runs them down on Captain America. You'll notice that he does that a ton on attack. He will just run people down, just being an absolute menace in the backline. Notice that he's about to die and he's very, very deep in the enemy backline, so opts to ult here just to push the enemy back, and as you can see, they're still running back with him. No one is pretty much anywhere near cart, and his team just follows him. His Wolverine follows him and commits ult. They take out the Cloak and Dagger, the Wolverine, and the Loki, and they push the enemy all the way back to spawn here. So they're just creating distance for the cart. There's one person standing on the cart, as you can see, and they have just under 4 minutes on the clock pushing this thing, and the enemy has quite a bit of space to cover before they are even close to the cart. Playing this little hallway here and backing up a little bit, knowing that the enemy is going to come through this hallway with a vengeance. Here's the Wolverine coming through this hall over here and immediately gets on him to try and get a little bit more pressure. His Moon Knight ults, sort of more of a zoning ult, it seems, and his Invisible Woman ults, so he tries to fight in that. They force the enemy Luna ult, but the Cloak and Dagger on the enemy team actually still has ult. Unfortunately, they are still wiped just as the Luna ult fades, and keeping this space as the cart is almost to the second checkpoint. So the enemy hasn't even touched the cart basically since the first fight. So very, very good. Stands in spawn. The enemy, I believe, just gets relocated here. Boop. Kind of taken out. So just hold that spawn, make sure that no one can come out that door, and now they fight for the final point. Immediately goes into the back line again, using his little power leap and dive combo to get in there, and then holding up his shield to reduce the damage as he goes in. Uses his F to get out, dashes back to his healers, gets topped off pretty quickly, and then goes to high ground and sees the Magneto get kidnapped, tries to get more damage on him so that they can maybe pick him off. Unfortunately, he is topped up, and the enemy Cloak and Dagger ults, his Luna ults, his Magneto ults. This is going to be a pretty stalemate fight just because those ults are both a ridiculous amount of healing. His Moon Knight falls there, unfortunately, so they lose a little bit of pressure, but especially because the enemy Loki steals his Luna ult and ults there, so they're not going to be able to get a whole lot of KOs on the enemy team, but they still have plenty of time on the payload. All he needs to do is keep running interference like he has, stay on the back line, opts to ult here, and just get even more pressure. His Moon Knight gets a great ult there, takes the Luna low, and he's able to capitalize. They're able to take out the Loki. The enemy Psylocke ults and takes out his Luna, but the enemy is down 2 healers at this point, and he's able to just run down this Bucky, and all damage is permanent there. So, getting right up in the spawn of the enemy team, he is enabled by his team quite a bit this game too. He's able to just run them down and run back and get healing almost instantly. So it is something that if you're gonna play Captain America, realize that you do have to have that balance. You can dive pretty deep, but make sure that you know your limits, know how much damage the enemy team is going to do to you, so that you can get back, get safe, and not just run it down. I have seen a lot of Captain Americas just run it down, and that's obviously not what you want to do. His team gets wiped here, thanks to Cloak and Dagger ult, and I believe Bucky ult was also popped there. So he's just repositioning, running back to his team. The Bucky's playing this corner, gets on him, makes him back up, and is just waiting for his team. They do have Wolverine ult and Luna ult, so they should be able to get a pretty good push here. He's just doing some damage on the back line, gets Loki to pop his left shift, so they will not have that for the fight. Invisible Woman ult gets popped on his team, and he runs directly after this Cloak and Dagger, just making her life miserable. There are a lot of healers in this game that lack a little bit more self-healing, so this Cloak and Dagger doesn't really have a way to pop herself off if her right click is down. So pushing her back, and as you can see, he just gets on the Cloak and Dagger, and pretty much the whole team drops back to help her. The Luna even drops back a little bit to help heal the Cloak and Dagger there. Is able to get a really cheeky double kill on people that were just about to go into spawn, and they secure the first round with a score of 3-0 with just over a minute 30 on the clock. So this character can do a lot. As I said before, he is enabled by his teammates a lot here. So this isn't going to be what every game looks like, but I wanted to showcase a good Captain America game, both on offense, because I think he's a little bit better on offense, and then he does a little bit less well on defense here. I think defense on Cap is a little bit more challenging, just because you need to make sure that you are stopping the payload, but also doing your job and getting in the back line and causing disruption and all that sort of thing. So getting right into it, playing that corner pretty well, immediately goes in on the back line once again, gets a cheeky kill on the Moon Knight and runs back for healing. Plays this corner again, line of sight's a little bit of damage, and sees the Luna drop low. Goes in, finishes her off, and then takes the aerial 1v1 with Storm. Storm gets kidnapped though, and his team should be able to finish her off. They take out the Magneto, and he almost dies to Ankh. The blue Ankh is actually the... I was watching this replay, and I got a little confused because he was killing the blue Ankh, which would ordinarily be friendly, but he actually has to... But he is red team, so that makes sense, I promise. Gets stuck on the wall here and is almost not able to get back to his team, but runs around this corner, plays high ground, looks for a leap into the enemy team. Focuses the Namor Squid and just popping around in the back line. Using a little bit of health pack knowledge here, knows there's a health pack over here. Isn't going to go back to his team fully, and he and this Wolverine are just sitting on the sides waiting for a prime target. Jumps in on the back line, unfortunately gets shredded, backs up, gets topped off very, very quickly. His healers are actually MVP in it right now. They're kind of crazy, so they trap this Magneto here, get a nice pick on him, and he's able to run down the Cloak and Dagger with the help of his team, and they're able to once again push the enemy back into spawn. So pretty dominant performance this game. Again, this is not what I would say as a close game or anything like that, but this is a character where you do kind of, he has high highs and pretty low lows too, from what I've seen. So keep these in mind if you're trying to play this character. Give him a go. He can be really good, but he can die pretty quickly, so just keep that in mind. His shield is not nearly as durable as Doctor Strange's or anything like that, so don't play him as a blocking tank like that. You need to really be getting in here, disrupting the backline. As you can see, they are in a little bit more disarray. They have to look all over the place just trying to find him. and opts to get out there as soon as his ult fades. Unfortunately, he is clipped by the Moon Knight on his way out. So I believe that is actually his first death. So yeah, I mean, he's 22-1 right now. Pretty good performance so far. His Luna opts to ult and hold the point. The enemy Luna ult is also popped. So should be a little bit of a stalemate around this corner here. The enemy Loki pops his left shift, and so he knows that he can get in on these healers. They are running a 3 healer team, so it is a little bit harder to take out enemy players. But gets right back into it, gets right back on the Luna and the Loki. They are able to take out the Cloak and Dagger and pretty much wipe the entire enemy team here with just about 45 seconds left on the clock. Once again, playing this corner, playing this little high ground ledge right here because it's a great place to leap onto the enemy team. And this corner is very, very hard to turn, especially in lobbies with people that know what they're doing. So playing this corner and playing this first point is very, very important. Getting right into it, the enemy has this kind of last push to make something happen. Jumps right in on the Luna and the Namor, trying to get a little bit of pressure on them. He drops pretty low here, and it looks like someone dove their backline. I believe Panther dives their backline, so he is not getting nearly as much healing as he ordinarily would. And he is actually taken out, and the Black Panther on the enemy team goes absolutely massive here, and pretty much ends up getting a quad by himself. And just disrupts all the healing, finishes off the tanks, takes him out. It's just kind of chaos when they anti-dive there. So stands up here, knows his team is not with him, but wants to see if he can hold this point and see if he can get the touch. Namor actually blows ult on him, which is pretty big there, and his team is not able to save this first point, but they do waste a little bit of time. I think that's always worth going for too, because you're probably not going to stop the enemy in this first little hallway push going into the second point, so it's definitely worth just trying, see if you can get that touch, and then regrouping afterwards, because the cart will stop for a brief amount of time. They have time to reset, and the cart has not really gotten any ground that it wouldn't ordinarily have gotten because they tried that. So if you have a way to touch that, you know, I've seen people win points like that, go into overtime, pop an ult, survive, stall it out long enough to actually secure a win there. So might look like a feed, but I think it was pretty tactical, pretty justified. Unfortunately, the Wolverine and the Black Panther on the enemy team are going absolutely massive, and he just opts to run away to this health pack. He knows he is down 2, and giving the enemy a little bit of space while his team respawns. The enemy does have 4 ults ready, so this is going to be a little bit of a scary fight. Goes right back in on the Namor, and the Loki tries to get a little more pressure on them. Knows he does not have any healing support in the back, so he just ults to try and keep himself alive, build that overshield. Pops Loki's left shift, so Loki does not have a whole lot of survivability. Knows he can get on him a little bit. His the Luna and the Cloak and Dagger on the enemy team both overlap ults, and his Luna ults to counter. So this will be, again, a very stalemate fight. Both healers, both supports on the enemy team and his team have opted to ult, so going to be pretty hard to take anyone out. But he's able to get a cheeky kill on the Luna here and run down the Cloak and Dagger. Unfortunately, is taken out by the Namor, and I believe that's like a 3-3 pretty much. So pretty even fight, but the Black Panther gets another kill on his Magneto, and the enemy gets a little bit more ground there. Spawning very, very close to the point here, he is able to run back in, and again tries to get this touch right before the point touches, with just over 4 meters left. Sees the Wolverine kidnap the Cloak and Dagger, and helps him out, making sure that they can get that KO. Holds up his shield, hopefully getting some healing here, and then goes right back in on the Luna. Knows that she should not have ult, she has no way to survive this, and a whole, like, kind of a lack of self-healing, I should say. A lot of healers in this game, a lot of healers that they are currently playing on the enemy team lack self-healing, so if he's able to get that pressure on, they're not able to do their jobs very well. And the enemy is not able to actually touch the point, and they secure the victory with a score of 3-1. So there's a lot happening in that game for sure, and he's just creating a ton of chaos in the backline, which is definitely how you want to play Captain America. Just make sure that you know your limits. You are not as squishy as a Hulk or something like that, and you can't block quite as much as a Strange, so be careful you are playing around that. Yeah, he plays this character very, very well. He goes 29-4, blocks a ton of damage, creates a ton of chaos, and wastes a lot of the enemy team's time, and they're able to secure the victory. So definitely try this character out. Try and play him a little bit more like this. I know this is a little bit of a higher ranked lobby, so it'll be a little bit different than what you're used to seeing if you're a little bit lower ranked. But give it a go. See what happens, and this might be your new tank character. Also, play him as an off tank too. He's definitely not someone that I would probably play alone. You need someone to stand on point and make sure that they are denying the enemy team a little bit of space. So leave a comment, leave a like on the video, tell me what you want to see next. I am still looking for a Rocket replay, so if you have any suggestions on players that play Rocket a lot and play him really well, definitely leave a comment on that, and I will catch you guys in the next one.